can you show me that graph again, that summing total sum graph for normalization?
For
How
normalization.
you are increasing the count? Yeah, how you are increasing the count for that?
Okay. This is the logic we are using.
Okay, how the count will get increased?
Automatically, because this is a for loop, right?
Okay,
Automatically
automatically.
will get incremented.
Okay.
Explicitly, it's not
So we
required.
don't want to expect. Mhm.
Pardon?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Don't want
Oh,
to be
no, no,
explicitly
no. We don't
increment.
need to explicitly to increment it. Automatically, it will get incremented in the for loop. That's fine.
Yeah, I get.
Okay. Okay. Today we'll start a component called reformat. So what it will do is a reformat changes the format of the records by adding the fields or by dropping the fields. So when I say like changes the format of the records by adding or dropping of the fields, where it will be. So whatever the records we are getting to the input port for the reformat, let's say I have 5 fields, but in the output I may be expecting only 3 fields or it could be 10 fields. So whenever you are making the changes on the format of the records by like adding the fields or dropping the fields at the output port, then we have to use a reformat component. That is possible through this reformat component. So it's like whenever the format of the records or being expected to change, like dropping or adding the fields, then we have to use a reformat component. So one performance scenario I can give you, like let's say we are getting a 2 input files, and each of the input file we have is like 40 to 50 fields or 100 fields, but we don't require all this for combinationally. It will be like 150 fields from these 2 input files, but we may be expecting only 15 to 20 fields in the output file, which we are going to load into the another table by doing a join on these 2 files. Then in such a case, the records or the fields going to the join component itself has to be reduced. We should not do the join on these 150 fields because the performance will be degraded. So we have to use a reformat component connected to the input files. One file could be 100 and the other could be 50, and the output port should say that how exactly you require in the files for the remaining processing of your graph. Only those fields you have to get extracted from the reformat so that the join will get performance. So this is like a dropping of the fields. Sometimes we have to derive the fields. Then in such a case also we can use a reformat. It's like an adding the fields in the output port. And coming to the parameters, we have count, select, transform, output index, and output indexes. So these are the parameters we have in the reformat component, and the component looks like input port, reset, error, and log port, and an output port. So this is a format component. By default, when the count is 1, So by default count parameter will be 1. So in such a case we will be getting this. So we already seen the count parameter in the join. So in the join 4 ports and 4 parameters are dependent on the count. So similarly in the reformat 3 ports and 1 parameter is dependent on the count parameter. The 3 ports are reject, error and out. So if I say like count as 2, I'll be getting reject 0, reject 1, error 0, error 1, and out 0, out 1. And the parameters of transform. So as of now we have only transform 0. If I make it count as 2, transform 0 and transform 1 will be appeared. And as soon as the records comes to the reformat component, the first parameter will get executed is the select that we already discussed. It is equivalent to the where class. In any component wherever you see the select or input select functions, that is the one which is going to be executed first. So here also if you want to filter any of the records before processing, if you are expected not to come to the output, then we can use a select and filter the records. And this will not go to the reject port. The reject is always pointed to the transform. Whatever the records which are not satisfied by the transformations, then those records will be rejected. It's not equivalent to the select unselected records. And here we don't have unused port, so the records will not be going anywhere in the unused port. All the records which are satisfied by the select has to come to the transform, and if the record satisfies according to the transformation under the fields which is getting assigned, it will go to the output port. Otherwise the records will get rejected and comes to the reject port by giving the proper error message to the error port. So the order of the execution we will discuss it. By taking the example of count 2, then in such a case we will be having select parameter, transform 0, transform 1, output index and output indexes. Okay, so let's check it. We have an input records like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Let's say we have defined a select, like let's say this is a record number field, then we have given the select as dot record number should be greater than 2, else we'll take it less than 5. Okay, and here we'll be having two output files, out 0 and out 1. So once we read the record from the input file to the reformat, the first record comes, the in dot record number will be the 1 is greater than 5. Oh, sorry, I made it mistake. It should not be greater than 5, it should be less than 5. Okay, record number comes 1 less than 5, the condition true, and once the select parameter gets executed, the control goes to either output index or indexes. So what these parameters will define is the output index will say that one record of the input has to go to the one of the output ports. If your requirement is the record has to send to either of one of the output port, the input record, then we have to use output index. If you are expecting the input record to be flows to multiple output ports, then we have to use output indexes. So let's say like the first record, it has to go to 0 and 1. Second record, you are expecting each record has to go to multiple ports, then we have to define the coding in the output indexes. If my requirement is not like that, first record comes, it has to go either of 0 or 1. Second record comes either of 0 or 1, means at any cost one record has to go to only one port, then we have to use output index. So, and let's say like we don't define in real time both the parameters to be defined, only either of the one to be defined, but as part of the testing purpose, if you are defining both the parameters to be seen like which parameter will get executed or given the preference, if we define both, then the preference will be given for output indexes. If you're writing the code in both the parameters and to check the preference, the output indexes will get preferred. So let's say like we have used output indexes and we have to write a logic accordingly. So let's take it another field like kind. Okay, like this we have it in the output indexes. If you're writing it, output index is so simple. So I'm taking an example of it, output indexes. If kind is A, then it has to flow the record to 0 and 1. And by default it has to, and we will be having only two values, either A or B, and if it is A, already we defined it has to go to 0 and 1, else it has to go to only 1. And here we have two assignments with the same priority, so we have to make it a priority. Let's make it 1. So if we have written this coding in the output indexes, after the select has been satisfied for the first record, that is kind A and a record number, the select will be satisfied, and immediately the control will come to the second step, that is output indexes. This code will get executed saying that in.kind is equal to A. Yes, it is equal, so it will resolve vector of 0, 1. So output indexes returns a vector type and output index will return a integer type. Make a note of this, output index will always return integer and indexes will return a vector. So in this case, the first priority get executed and it returns a vector of 0, 1, and always in the output index or indexes, it's a developer who has to make sure that whatever the values we are going to return should be equivalent to the output ports. Here we have 0 and 1. Here 0 and 1 means it is equivalent to the output port number. Here I cannot make a note like 1, 2 because 2 port is not available. So it is always, it's responsible from the developer. We have to make sure that whatever the ports we have it, we have to assign it. So in such a case, once a vector of 0 and 1 gets resolved, the control from the output indexes will go to the transform 0 and executes the logic defined in the transform 0, and the record will be returned to the out 0. Once the record has been returned to the out 0, the control will comes to the transform 1 and executes the logic written in the transform 1 and returns the record to the out 1. So still we are processing only first record, but the records we have written is 2. So that is why one record, if you are expecting to return multiple records into the output port, then output indexes has to be used. If you are expecting the input record to send only either of one port, output index to be defined. Then the second input record comes. Record number 2 is less than 5, condition true. Again it comes to the output indexes. Then kind is not equal to a, so it will resolve only 1. Then directly the control from output indexes will go to the transform 1, because we have expecting the record to be sent to the out 1, that is linked to the transform 1 parameter. So the logic behind this transform 1 will get executed and goes to the out 1. Then in such a case, while processing the first record will be both places and the second record will be here, and again third record will be right. So the condition satisfies and control comes to the output index and it returns a vector 0 comma 1, and here transform 0 gets executed and assigns a value of 3, and then here also 3 will get assigned, and the 4 comes and the select satisfies comes to the output index, kind is a, and the vector of 0 comma 1 will be resolved. So transforms 0 and 1 will get executed and sends the records to the output port for the fourth record. So for again the fifth record comes. Here the select set will not be satisfied, 5 less than 5, condition fails. So immediately the sixth input record will be read, 6 less than 5, no, condition fails, and there are no records to process it. So here the control stops. So this is how the records will be in each of the file, 1 3 4 for the out 0 and 1 2 3 4 for the out 1. And if you're writing an statement like a function in the output index, you can write it. It's so simple. Which in turn takes input as an argument. So here each record has to send only to one of the ports. So that is the reason I made it if kind is equal to a 0 else 1. So this logic you can write in the output index if you wanted to test for that. Then in such a case all the a's will go to the 0 port and other than a will go to 1 port. So in such a case 1 3 4 again will go to here, and the out one will be only 2. This is for output indexes. And if you are doing an output index, and only 2 will be here, and the condition will not be satisfied for 5 and 6. So this is how the reformat component will work internally, how the parameters will get executed, the execution flow. So is it clear, Bhagyaraj and Ravali?
Yes,
Hello.
Venkat.
Yeah,
Yes,
Venkat.
Venkat.
Okay. And in this version we don't have a parameters like output index and indexes. These are from the latest version only. As we have the old version 1.1, we don't have that output index and indexes parameters.
Venkat, from which version it was incorporated?
Um, I think 2.14. I am not sure exactly, but it is available in the latest version. I think like 2.14.
Oh,
Okay, here the parameters we have are like count, transform, and select only. And let's view the data from the input file. Here we have 5 fields with customer ID, first name, middle name, last name, and age. And coming to the output port, how many fields we are expecting in the output port. So to view the fields in the output port, you have to click on the output port and then edit it. So here we are expecting only 3 fields, means we are dropping the fields. Let's run the graph and see how we are getting only 3 fields. Out of 5 records, we got only 3 records. So we have a select getting executed on this. So 24, 28 are not getting. So we may be written age field, the select could be greater than 30. Yes, greater than or equal to 30. So all the first field, middle name and last name are making it into a name. Let's see the code, how we have written in the transformation. Just we are using a string functions. So in this, I'm just wanted to explain how the variable defines. So I have taken from the variable fname and getting assigned the input dot fname to the fname field and using this variable in the string concatenation. If I use directly fname without a string trim, a string allot trim, then a variable is defined with size 10. So whatever the fields having less bytes than the 10 bytes will get added with the space. So just to remove those spaces, we are using a string underscore allot trim before concatenating with the middle name and the last name. So and then once we get all the values, we are doing a concatenation and getting assigned to the output name. So that is where we are getting fname, middle name, and last name into a name. Okay, here we made count as 2, transform 0 and transform 1. Let's see each of the ports what we have it. Customer ID name is same example, and out one just the name we are taking and surname we are including it. So just wanted to highlight that it could be n number of the fields from the input to the output. And we don't have a select, so all the records are coming to the output port. We're just taking the surnames into a different field, last names into a surname, or you can, or still you can take it another number of the fields also. There is no restriction in this. If you are expecting from out of these 5 fields, we are expecting 10 fields, yes, we can make it. If you are expecting only 2 fields also, yes, we can do that. So whenever it's expecting the changes in the format of the records, then we have to use a reformat. And coming to the performance point, what we discussed, we have to implement that. So is it clear, the reformat component?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Venkat, one question.
Yeah.
For the in.f name, you are assigning that to f underscore name. Again, you are doing ltrim.
Yes, yes.
Can't we directly assign that
Okay.
string concat?
Yeah, I will assign that directly in the another example which I have shown you.
Yeah. So why we are doing this?
Yeah, I will show you. If I directly assign the f name to this, what will happen? So before how we are getting the result, the first name will be taken as a 10 bytes. Vikram has only 6 bytes, so the next 4 bytes will be spaces, and Jay has only 4 bytes. Next 6 bytes will be spaces. Vijay has 5 bytes. Next 5 bytes will be spaces, and then it will be appended the middle name and the last names. So to avoid
Okay.
this, we are using a string underscore allotrim.
No, no, that is fine.
Okay.
What I'm asking is that you are assigning that in.f name to this f underscore name, right?
Yes, yes.
So instead of that, directly we can put in underscore in.f name, right?
Yeah. We can
That's what
put.
I'm asking.
The reason I wanted to show how we define the variable and how to use that variable within the transformation. That is the reason I have done this.
Okay.
Directly we can do this.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
In this example, directly we have taken in dot f name.
Yeah.
We can do that directly. Just to show how the variable can be declared and assigned, we have taken that example. So any other doubts?
No.
Okay.
Venkat, one thing.
Yeah.
Some places we will give a variable declaration as let string or something. Some places we can simply define string of data type means length or something. Where we can put let and where we cannot put let.
If we are defining
Anywhere we
a
need to put.
variable, if you are
Yeah.
defining a variable, then we have to use let. I will show you the exact thing. Yeah, if you are defining a variable, then we have to use a let, and if you are defining your own data type, then not require the
Okay.
let, directly a data type under the field name, because
Mm-hmm.
that we are taking it as a field names in the output dmls, or not only output dmls, in any of the dmls, are you using let, or directly we are doing with the data type under the field name?
Yeah, we are directly doing with data
Yeah,
type and field name.
that we are taking it as a field names, data type another field name, what kind of the value it should
Okay.
hold. So you may be
Mm-hmm.
confused in the normalize, right, when we are defining a type declaration and initializing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we are taking it as a field names, not the variable names. So field names has to be
Okay.
defined with the data type another field, and coming to the variables, it
Okay.
has to be defined with the let and then data type another variable name.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll show you the normalized example also once so that. So this we are taking it as a field names. So that is the reason we are not using let.
Okay.
And if you wanted to define any of the fields, then it should be let.
Any of the variables, temporary variables.
Yeah.
Okay. And Venkat, is there any default values for this output indexes, output index?
No, no, no default. If you don't define anything, nothing can be resolved.
Okay. So you have to define something for that,
If you're
or is
expecting
it,
it,
I have,
only one
yeah.
record has to go, or multiple times the record has to go to multiple output ports, then depends on that requirement, we will be doing that.
Okay.
And most of the cases, if I wanted to say like in the real time, so we will be getting the files containing header, body, and the trailer. So I'm
Yeah.
expecting that header should go to one output port, all the body records should go to one output, and trailer should go to the other output port. And exactly whatever
Yeah.
the file I'm getting it to maintain the history, I wanted the fourth output file should be containing all the header, body, and trailer.
Okay.
Then we have to use output indexes. So for
Okay.
whatever I said, header should be one output file, body should be one output file, and trailer should be one output file. So for I can say that I can go for output index, but at the same time again I'm saying that all the records should be expected in the fourth output file. Then
Okay.
it has to go for output indexes. It depends on the requirement what we have it.
Okay. For example, so I have only one output port, so I
Okay.
don't want to go for any indexes, right?
You don't want to go for multiple output ports?
No, no, I have only output port. My expectation is to take the input and do the transformation and send to the one output port.
Then by
So in that
default the port
case,
will be one, right? We can go ahead with that.
yeah, that's right.
Okay, okay.
Venkat, one question. Can you just scroll up once in the paint itself here?
Okay. Here it
Um,
is fine.
how did that two end up for the for the example which you just showed? How did two end up for the output indexes? For the out one, we have two all the record two also, right? Record number two
This one.
for the output indexes.
Okay, output indexes. Here how you are
How
getting
did
two.
two come in for the yeah?
Okay, so what kind of a logic we have written for the output indexes? If the value of the kind is a, then it has to go to 0 and 1. Otherwise it should go to the first
Right.
one. So if you take it a combination, whatever the value, it is expected to go to first port, because both the places one is there. So if it is a also, it is going to the first, whether it is a or b or c, whatever it may be, it is going to the first port. So 2 has a kind as a b,
Oh,
so the condition will not be satisfied
okay.
here, comes to the default priority. So 1 will be there, so again the transform 1 will get executed and comes to the out 1 here.
Okay, got
This is a default priority.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, we will stop it here. Soon we are stopping it, but because the next component I want a minimum amount of the time to discuss. I don't want to stop it in the partial. So minimum it will require
Which
one
component?
hour time to discuss that. So I wanted to stop it here so that we can complete one component fully. That is the roll-up component.
Okay.
So Ravali, tomorrow morning is it fine to log in for you, or because you will be out on the Saturday evening your time, right? So it will be like my Sunday morning. So Sunday I will not be taking any sessions.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not available only on Saturday evening, which is Sunday morning for you.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
I'm available all.
So tomorrow morning you will be available, right? I mean, like
Tomorrow, yeah,
tomorrow class for your
Friday
time.
for me. Sorry?
Tomorrow class for your time you will be available, right?
Yes, yes, tomorrow is still Friday for me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, fine. Then tomorrow we will discuss the role of component.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Any doubts before closing the session?
No, Ankit.
I don't
No,
have
nothing.
any.
Okay, then fine. See you tomorrow then.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.